Last game that we're talking about, because it was last Thursday's game, Bills at Dolphins. Bills come away with the win, 31-10 in this one. Obviously, scary situation with Tua Tagovailoa getting hit in the head and then going out, and sort of his future being up in the air. Doesn't sound like he's contemplating retirement from last that I saw, but just another concussion for him. And so obviously we hope that he is all good and that he's going to be fully healthy. That's first and foremost. But when we look at the top fives for this team, let's look at the Buffalo Bills. Von Miller. He's back, baby.
Ageless
resurgence again. Now, I don't know about ageless. He's been very, very hot and cold, and particularly cold. But this one, he was hot. He was back. Von Miller of old, 90.7 to top the list here for the Buffalo Bills. Tight end Dalton Kincaid with an 87.8. Running back James Cook, 87.3. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver with an 81.2. And then Christian Benford, their cornerback, with a 78.8. Josh Allen had a 77.1 grade on the day. For Miami side of things, linebacker Jordan Brooks had an elite 92.2 to lead all Miami Dolphins. Running back Devon Achane with a 76.0. Defensive tackle Zach Seiler, 74.3. Tight end Jonnu Smith with a 73.3. Kendall Lamb with a 73.2. Their offensive tackle there. And then Tua Tagovailoa, like we mentioned, he did not finish the game. Finished with a 48.0 PFF grade. What's the stat that told the story here, Dalton?
I'm going to roll the stat, my most impressive, into one thing here. But the stat for me, it sounds funny. Josh Allen, only 141 total yards. And you think about that, and we looked at this Bills team in the preseason. We're wondering about their defense and where it was at, and you have young receivers. And the thought for a lot of people, I think, was, well, they can't win if Josh Allen's not Superman, right? Like he was in week one.
That's a great point.
And I sit here and I go, okay, they just dominated a football game where Allen only had 141 total yards. I think he only had one carry for 3 yards. But you look at the Bills, 110 rushing yards as a team. James Cook, 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Five different players with a carry. 8 different players with a target. Obviously a very good night on defense, and they seem to have the Dolphins' number on defense. But I'm going to roll this into the most impressive for me, Joe Brady. Sitting there watching it on Thursday, I just thought he called a fabulous game. I really do. I think the Dolphins came out blitzing early. He had answers for it. That first touchdown to James Cook was a great play call, just sneaking Cook underneath and getting him out in the flat when it's man-to-man. The blitz is coming. Then they start backing off, and he starts running the ball. And just everything about the way Joe Brady called this game, I thought was terrific. The balance in their offense. You know, you mentioned Dalton Kincaid last week, and I was like, don't worry, it's coming. They move things around,
right? And it did. It wasn't a landslide, but 4 catches, 4 targets,
and you just have to like with the Bills. And I know they don't have Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb or one of those guys, but the amount of balance that they have, they can go to someone. Last week it was Allen having to carry it, and this week then it was James Cook and Kincaid, and Shakir had another good game. And next week it could be somebody else. It could be Ray Davis teeing off. I mean, they have so many guys that are at least credible threats. And the fact that they won this game against this team on the road with Josh Allen not having to do a whole lot, made a couple nice throws. The one rolling to his right, it's just anytime he rolls to his right and makes a throw like that, it's just silly. But this is the type of Bills effort that makes me think, okay, they could win enough games to win this division again, because it shows that it's not just Josh Allen.
My stat that told the story, you talk about having answers for something. The Bills got an answer for Tyreek Hill. They do, because in this game, obviously, again, I want to mention, Tua did not finish the game. I understand. Hill had 6 targets for 3 catches for only 24 yards. This is one of the most dominant receivers in the NFL. Tyreek Hill's career average is 81.7 receiving yards a game and 5.8 receptions per game. So a little over 80 yards a game and almost 6 receptions per game. When he has played the Buffalo Bills in his career, whether he was when he was at Kansas City or whether he was in Miami, 48.8 receiving yards per game, almost half, and just 5.1 receptions per game. They limit Tyreek Hill. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I got to think better than any team in the NFL.
I don't think he's had a 100-yard game against them in his career.
I think he has.
Maybe one?
No, maybe you're right there, because I looked if he scored touchdowns. He's got 2 touchdowns against the Bills, but he might not have a 100-yard game against this team.
I think even the game in the snow last year in Buffalo, it was Waddle that had a lot of
They know how to shut down Tyreek Hill better than any team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the stat that told the story. That is when, if you could shut down Tyreek Hill for this offense, yeah, there's a lot of speed everywhere else, but it starts with the fact that Tyreek Hill is basically the most uncoverable wide receiver in the league. And when you shut that down, the rest of it, while still talented, can it really be primary factors? And sometimes it can some weeks, but against the Bills, certainly this past week, it could not. My most impressive, we talked about Von Miller, 88.0 pass rush grade versus Miami, his highest since the 2020, his highest single game performance since the 2021 playoffs, where the Rams were going on that playoff run to win that Super Bowl. 1 sack, 4 pressures, and a 22.7 pass rush win percentage. And then my most disappointing, I'll get to that real quick and then hear what yours is. Austin Jackson. The offensive tackle for the Miami Dolphins. Jackson in week 1, 82.5 pass blocking grade, only 1 pressure allowed. And then in week 2, which is a 19.6 pass blocking grade with 7 pressures allowed. That is massively different for Austin Jackson. We got to meet somewhere in the middle, and we got to make sure that floor is a lot higher than what it was this past week against the Buffalo Bills. So who is your most disappointing here?
So this, especially now that they won't be in as many high-scoring games, we don't know how long Tua will be out for, and they're going to have Skylar Thompson starting. But this Miami secondary has got to start holding up their end of the bargain here. Right now, team coverage grade 49.1 through 2 games. That's only ahead of the Commanders and Cardinals. And this is a team with Jalen Ramsey, with Javon Holland, with Kendall Fuller was a big pickup, supposed to be a good fit, and they just seem to be struggling across the board at limiting explosive plays and some different looks in zone coverages than they used last year under Vic Fangio. Every player in their secondary in this game had a coverage grade under 67, and they, for some reason, it's just not working. It's hard to pin down because they have really, really talented guys in their secondary. And even with some of the pass rushers recovering from and coming back from injury, you figured, okay, they're going to be able to cover. Look at all these names. And I don't know if it's the most expensive secondary in the league, but it's probably close. And they just paid Jalen Ramsey all that money, I think over $24 million a year. But they're going to have to be better than they've been the first 2 games. They're giving up too many big plays to me over the middle of the field as well. It's just something's not clicking in coverage for the Dolphins right now, and it better start because they with Skylar Thompson starting, they need to play elite defense.
For sure. There's no doubt about it. They got to be up to the challenge to really kind of weather this storm here.